So one of the things I wanted to talk about was about this point of self-neglect. We are so focused on trying to achieve everything, especially when it comes to work. And I think that's partly to do with a lot of the social media pressure and pressure just from, the current state of the world, where the whole thing is about how much money you earn, the most amazing places that you can travel to, which is great, don't get me wrong, travel is very important for one's soul, and of course the latest things that you have, yeah, and that could be things like certain gadgets, dare I say it, crockery can be a pressure now, because you want the latest nice, the nice pots and pans and plates, etc., right? You want something really, that's the wow factor, because it's about people's opinion of you, to say, oh, I like their kitchen, or I like the way they've done this, and then therefore it's like, oh, okay, I need to wow them, I need to impress. And I think this is where it's coming from. It's the need to impress more so than anything. Now, this can create a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and then it's that need to make more money, and that's what's being whispered into our ears a lot of the time. You don't have enough, so you need to do more, you need to work more, you need to think about these these new get rich schemes, and then of course before you know it, you've probably spent more than what you would have had originally. But at the same time, it's creating this unnecessary pressure. So what happens is, and don't get me wrong, making money, starting businesses is absolutely fine, okay? It is absolutely okay, and it's okay to work. I'm not saying it's not. I'm someone who's always busy, so that's part of me. Again, business is a huge part of my life. Now, the problem is where we start to then self-neglect. And when I'm talking about self-neglect, I'm talking about not eating, skipping meals. Your sleep becomes deprived. And I'm not saying like maybe the odd occasion you might lose some sleep, that's fair enough. But when you're constantly losing sleep, there's a point where you won't be able to function, and therefore that's going to take some impact to your health. You neglect your time with God. If you are now getting to this point where actually I can do this on my own and I don't need God anymore, or I don't need that self-reflection time or that time to listen to my inner voice, you might get all the reward that you can right now, but there is going to be one way that it's going to hit you. It's that emptiness feeling, and believe me, I've been there with the emptiness feeling, and it's not nice. You probably find you're going to get very angry most of the time. There's always something to complain about, and you're probably going to have a face like this instead of a face like this, and happiness and this inner glow. Okay, now I know there's going to be some of you that will say you're wrong, blah blah blah, but just the fact of those comments just says it all. Anyway, push that to one side. At the same time, what you are looking at here is this point of increased stress because of the amount of stuff that you're taking on. So what I'm basically saying is that no matter how busy you are, no matter how crazy it gets, don't neglect these really important times, the times in the day where you do need the quiet time. So whether you do believe in God or you don't, you're still going to need the quiet time to pull back. You can't be with everyone like 24/7, and if you are, that means you probably haven't had enough alone time to understand yourself. So I'd probably say worth exploring that. You need the time to eat, and when I mean eat properly. It's not about just having, I'll just get a packet of, chips here, or I'm going to, grab a burger. I'm talking about eating right. And I would say at least try to get some home cooked meals in there as well, because that really does help with how you manage your time, how you manage your mindset. And also a home cooked meal just has a different comfort to eating out all the time. And if you haven't learned how to cook, like seriously, I'm sorry, but now's the time to learn how to cook, especially if you want to try and like have the latest things of everything. You need to save your money, right? It's 2025. There's no reason to not know how to cook. It's pretty simple. I can even show you how. But in terms of that as well, so get on the right nutrition, but the right balance of sleep. How many of us neglect our sleep because we need to do something for our jobs that are probably not even life or death situations, by the way? You probably find you're more stressed about your job that is not even a emergency service type of role, and if it can wait tomorrow, it can wait tomorrow. If there is no life or death situation, I don't know why you're making it so urgent right now. Okay. Again, we get so preoccupied in that someone's demanding, I need to answer their question in this instance. If no one's on that operating table, there's not a fire to put out, or there's no one that's in need of CPR, then guess what? It's not life or death situation. It can be done the next day or when you've got that capacity. So this is what I mean about this point of where we start to neglect ourselves, is where we put someone over what we need. And for some of you, that also might be believers. In Arabic, we call this shirk, where you end up putting someone else above your time, what should be with God or your higher power. Again, you're putting someone above that. Sorry, no, not happening. Don't neglect yourself. Don't neglect the time that you need in order to get to where you need to get. Okay, so you need the balance. So what I'm basically saying to you here is self-neglect is going to lead to unsuccessful results. Successful people, and when I mean successful people, are not the ones that achieve the 7 figures, but then the next day they die of cardiac arrest, or they've got some form of cancer which has been induced by stress. Okay? That's not what we're talking about here. That is not a success, because that's just one aspect of a successful area, which is the career and the money side of it. What about the rest? You need to maintain balance. Time with your loved ones, time with your spiritual self, exercise, nutrition, good sleep, recreational activities, creativity. You need to make sure you've got a balance of all of it. Otherwise, that's not living. Yeah? Just focusing on one aspect is not living. You have to make sure you've got all of the other areas that you are actually doing something towards, that you're increasing, balance within all of those areas. So again, for those of you who need that input, feel free to get in touch. I'm happy to provide advice on that. But look, all I'm saying to you is don't neglect yourself. Make sure you eat right, you sleep right, you've got some alone time with yourself, and as well, create the balance across everything.